it's a different scenario. We break records while we pushing the culture forward. Great music and big vibes right in that order. Talent gets you here, but your story make you stand out. Rooted from the source, so it's knowledge that we pass out. Gotta turn your dial to 108.1. Let's bumpin' nerve DJs while I ride in the sun. Jobs gon' speak the real like you suppose. DJ Shiny Shine always keep Mondays on the road. Various topics get discussed more frequently. We keep an open mind, you can learn something easily. Make sure you tune in and stay up to date and submit your.
And you are now tuned into another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio, brought to you by M3S3 Clothing. Men make moves and suckers stand still. I am Jobs, your host, and today we have another legend in the building. Mr. Mikey Eckstein, super manager, your promoter's favorite promoter, business owner, and man of the world. Mikey Eckstein, what's going on, bruh?
Thanks for having me, man. A lot going on.
How was the intro, man? I've been working on it.
It looks good, man. Looks good. I like it. I enjoy it.
How's life, man? How's your family?
Family's good, man. Family's good. You know, getting back into school and sports and all that stuff. So life is good.
All right. So Mikey Eckstein, Embarco Management. How long have you been in the business?
So I've been in the business I'm 43, almost 44 now. I've been doing this full time since I was 19. So
how does a 19-year-old kid get into management?
Good question. So for my situation, I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which was a very diverse community. And I was an only child and I got along with everybody. And
Go Blue, by the way. Sorry to interrupt.
What's that?
Go Blue.
Okay. Yeah. Go Blue. And so I grew up with a lot of older kids. That's why I got my name Mikey. I was always little Mikey and it stuck with me. And there was a band that I was friends with in high school. They were called Funktelligence. And it was like a collective like funk, hip hop, and jazz. And when we got out of high school, I was like, damn, you guys are actually really good. Mm-hmm. And they said, we were talking about it. We wanted to ask you if you could use some of your older connections and get us booked into some bars and stuff. And I'm like, all right, I could do that. So I got us a show at this place called Cross Street Station in Ypsi, and I kept calling the Blind Pig, the legendary Blind Pig in Ann Arbor. And we finally got like a Tuesday night, and we sold it out. Wow. We printed up these obnoxious, just fluorescent 11 by 17 flyers, like yellow and lime, and we get on our bikes, get in our cars, we put them up everywhere, went crazy with the street team. And then, we kind of conquered Ann Arbor, and I was like, oh, shit, I got to get in with the Detroit scene. So I went to St. Andrews, and I was like 18, like, hey, can I hand out flyers or do something and check out my band? And then I started. Then one night, when I think I was 19, we had a Ghostface Killer show at St. Andrews. And the manager was like, yo, could you do me a favor and go pick up Ghostface from the hotel? And I was like, sure.
Crazy.
So I'm like, this is dope. And then he's like, yeah, usually we pay people to do that. It's called a runner. I'm like, well, shit, you want to pay me to work hip hop shows and pick up my idols, So I did that. And then I started producing shows for St. Andrews. It was a company called Ritual at the time. And then when I was 20, so I was the one, I was doing shows at St. Andrews and at the State Theater in Detroit and Clutch Cargos. And I was the one running the show. I was the one writing the checks to the artists, to the stage hands, advancing the shows. But if there was alcohol in the rider, that wasn't in-house, I couldn't even get it. So I'd have to hire a runner to get it, but I was the one running the show.
Wow.
And then
At 20.
Yeah. At 20. And then in 2001, D12's out, and then at the same time I was going in and out of, we were linking with other artists that were similar to Funktelligence. Funktelligence was funk, hip hop, jazz, kind of like the Roots meets Talib Kweli meets Funkadelic, and
that's
so
interesting.
It was dope. And so I partnered with this other lady. and we started managing them, and we were finding other artists in different markets and swapping shows and doing runs. So I would go on tour, with them, doing little shows and advancing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2001, D12's album came out, and I did their album release show at St. Andrews. And then they were going on tour, and shortly before they went on tour, they asked me to go out and tour manage them. So, because I had knew both sides of it, and I was just 21 or so at the time, 21, 22. So I was, and then I also
that had to be crazy. Wow.
Oh, it was crazy. And then I also at the time I managed this rapper Paradigm, who became Kid Rock's DJ, who replaced Uncle Cracker. So I was in and out of tour with Kid Rock and Eminem's. And then ultimately Ritual got bought up.
Let me stop you right there. I'm sorry, but Kid Rock how was he then as opposed to now?
He's the same person. You know what? Like he gets drunk and says some dumb stuff, and it's taken way out of
no
terms.
It's not. He's an asshole now to a lot of people.
Yeah,
back then he seemed to be more hip.
Yeah, but he still does. You know what? I just went to his son's wedding earlier this year. His mixed son too, by the way. And he's got a really good. He's a good dude. He just says some dumb shit, and he's done a lot of stuff that I could say for artists, for hip hop artists, that has really helped out. And I'm talking legendary names. I'm not going to put anybody's business out there, but I've been there when he's really had some artists back that had got fucked in their deals or were down at the time. And, I wish I could say some names, but I don't want to put anybody's business out there, but I've seen it firsthand, and it's like, what, I'll tell you what, the 2016 race coming off of Obama into Trump, and it really divided a lot of people, and a lot of things were taken certain ways, and people took things to different extremes. But at the same time, he's not a bad guy.
Hard sell, however.
Yeah, you know what? Take it for what it is, but I know I know.
I feel you. I get what you're saying.
I know my boy,
and I know the story, and I know he put in the work. I'm not gonna take that away from him.
Yeah,
I know he was sleeping on couches. He did a lot of shit. Like he put in the work to get to where he's at. Can't take that away from him at all.
Yeah, but you know what? The funny thing is like Kid Rock and Eminem came up at the same time as far as boom, international. But they're so opposite. Like Kid Rock had a family that had some money, and
they were rich.
We're rich, and
yes.
The thing is he ran away from that.
Yeah.
To do his craft, but he had to do it, and get accepted in the hood to kind of to get a platform and take it serious. There was no TikToks or anything then, and he was about it. Where Eminem, on the other hand, was living on the couches and all that, and hating it and wanting to get 24 Mile, and he was running away from it while Rock was running to it, So,
and to keep it a buck, I was born and raised in Detroit. And
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was born and raised in Detroit.
Yeah.
And for a white guy to get accepted takes a lot.
Yeah.
Takes a lot. So again, like I'm not gonna take nothing away from the cat as far as the work he put in. I know the story. I know what he had to endure. He didn't have to. I know what he chose to endure.
Right.
Because he had a dream to do something different.
Right.
He didn't want to go into pops. He wanted to be his own person. I get it. One of these days, hopefully, I'll get a chance to talk to him.
Sure.
And that would be dope.
And he welcomes those conversations where people looking at him like he'll
it was tough for a lot of us Detroiters. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like
I totally understand. Listen,
it was.
I get it more, and even for me coming up. Look, my mom and dad my mom answered the phones at the Bank of Ann Arbor, and my dad was the head of the post office at Domino's headquarters. And, it wasn't like I grew up with,
Yeah.
with parents with connections or older brothers that were A&Rs, or I hustled my way, but I had to, and I had to do my thing, like to get in with the Detroit scene and get respect, as a white kid from Ann Arbor. But you gotta, just be about yourself and do it for the right reasons. And, and I started managing Trick.
How do you meet Trick? Like the gooniest of goons.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in.
And a white kid from Ann Arbor, right?
Exactly. How does that happen?
So I'll tell you, it's kind of funny because okay, so when I was, D12 only had 2 albums, so but I was very heavily involved with Proof's career as well, his solo career, rest in peace. And so I was booking Proof a lot of solo shows, and he had his album coming out, the Searching for Jerry Garcia album that came out, and I
dope album, by the way.
Yeah, such a dope album.
Yes.
And so Trick had that song My Name is Trick that was popping on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just about to drop before it dropped, and then it got crazy play in Detroit. And I had just seen that Street Life, and I knew the Trick. I knew what he was all about, right?
Right.
Matter of fact, when Everlast came, and there was a situation at St. Andrews when Everlast was talking shit about Eminem. I was training to do shows, and that's when the Goon Squad paid a big visit, and there was a legendary story about that. So I learned, I saw that firsthand, and then the Street Life DVD had just came out.
Wait. You can't tell the story?
What's that? I'm getting there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the Street Life DVD came out, and this is before I met Trick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where he's got the AK. He's like, motherfuckers, pull out their knives. Please believe we got these all day, every day. And they showed that it was the Trick Daddy video, and they had 150 Goon Squad cats, stomped him out, and then, and I'm like, dang. Okay. And then I met him one night at St. Andrews, and I was just like, all right, man. Like, all right, cool. And then Proof was like, when My Name is Trick was about to come out, he was like, hey, can you start putting Trick on my shows? I'm like, all right, cool. So had a bunch of dope shows. And then I remember one night at St. Andrews, Proof or Trick went to Proof. He was like, hey, man, who's getting all these shows, man? Who's doing all this for you? And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I'm trying to get in the corner, And he's like, Mikey right there. And I'm like, Trick's like, I need to holler at you. I'm like, all right. So he's like, yeah, what's good for you? I'm like, man, I don't know. Come, meet me at St. Andrews on Friday during the day or whatever. He's like, all right, cool. Me and my brother gonna pull up and whatever. And I'm like, all right. So I'm like looking at it like 2 ways, like shit, like, all right, I love my family. I don't want to fuck this up. Like, then I'm like, but I also don't want to do like a big contract and something mess up. So we talked it out. We came up with a percentage. We shook hands, and 20 years later, I've been on the phone with him 6 times today already, and we've never argued about money or anything. And
really,
I said, let's give it 3 months and see how it goes. And 20 years later, here we are. So
that's crazy. And you know what? Like I interviewed him years ago. Mm-hmm. Really, really dope interview. Really dope dude. Like the persona, although earned,
mm-hmm.
the other side of him is phenomenal.
Exactly.
Like when I met him the first time I met him in person was at the Scarface show.
Okay.
Cool ass dude.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. He talked to my daughter.
Huge though. This dude is massive. Dude is huge. Him and his brother are
yeah.
They're twice my size. I'm a short dude, but still, they're some big dudes.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
God.
Trust me. I've seen some shit. I've seen some shit.
I'm not even. I'm gonna ask about that. Wait a minute. I do want to know. Were you there when the Locks had their interaction with the Goon Squad? Goon Squad.
No, of course I heard about that. I was not there. I think that was like Hockey Town or something, but I wasn't there for that.
Oh, okay. Because they tell a hilarious story.
I will tell a funny story now because we're cool. You know, the Rick Ross situation is, whatever. But I remember the only time I really yelled at Trick, like, and felt it was it was my ex-wife's 40th birthday party. We were still together the night before the Rick Ross incident. And he was at the party, and a couple other Goon Squad cats were there, but Trick was just real quiet and on his phone. I'm just like, and he's like, just kind of, he's a pretty social person, but he just, was in thought and on his phone a lot. And I'm like, all right, whatever, Then the next night is the Rick Ross situation. And that time he had my cell phone, my personal cell phone, as his contact on his Twitter, along with my email or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that next morning I was getting blown up. I'm fucking CNN, BET, MTV, every blog. I'm like, I called him. I'm like, Trick, will you take my fucking number off your phone? I didn't even know. See, like we keep it 100. I didn't come in and try to be cool. I'm managing Trick. What up, Crip? That's not
right.
me. Like, so we keep, he keeps some of his shit separate. He's not like, that's cool. That's y'all. That's you. Like, I'm not trying to get all, we work great together. He calls us the Batman and Robin of the D, but I'm not coming in claiming to, because I manage some gangster rappers and all that now all of a sudden I'm Thug Life from Ann Arbor. No,
That's why they respect you.
Right.
Yeah.
So one, it caught me off guard because I didn't even know none of that was going on, which is cool. But getting all these calls, I'm like, dog, I gotta work, like, because he's not taking any interviews or nothing. I'm like, I'm not mad at the situation, but just take my number off your Twitter for a few, like, just keep the email up or something, which is fine. But bro, but
did you think it was a good move or a bad move?
Well. I know I'm not going to get into it, but I know the situation between them two. So it was a good move, and it really brought, it brought a lot of light to the city because, at that time, like a lot of the radio stations and stuff, they weren't playing Detroit artists. They weren't putting Detroit artists on their shows. They weren't, the labels weren't doing shit. And I think that caused, I'm not going to say that completely changed the game, but it helped say, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we know there's some vigilantes in the community of hip hop in Detroit that we ain't getting around, and and then now, Detroit artists are killing it,
oh my God, Detroit is like running shit now.
Yeah.
Oh.
So everything. When something's at that magnitude, there's pros and cons, but I think it was a good move, and it made a point to him and Ross with whatever their beef was that's between them, yeah. And hey, look, there's a lot of Detroit artists on these radio shows now, and there's a lot of Detroit artists getting on, and and it wasn't just, again, kind of going back to the Kid Rock thing. Like, I know Rock, Trick knows him very, very well too. And they're very cool, and he'll put that on anything. So it's like people look at Trick, so they look at him in different ways, but some think, he's just a bully, asshole, blah, blah, blah. But then when you sit down and you get to know him as him,
different guy.
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah. And then you kind of understand, like, from the outside looking in, like, that was a move that I celebrated. And I'm a Rick Ross fan.
Yeah.
But I'm through and through a Detroiter, and I've been living in Cleveland for 20 years.
Yeah.
You can't tell. I'm 7 Mile for life.
Right.
Like, it'll never go away. And when he did that shit, man, I gave him a standing ovation that he never saw.
Yeah. So
I was absolutely proud of him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's definitely, and he's, man, I was so happy when he found weed because Well, the first 10 years to the latter 10 years has been night and day. It was murder trials and funerals back in the day. Now it's, we're doing Peace Corps and vegan festivals and, and, and everything matures with time and stuff, but it's just such a great, it's just great working with them. We do so many different, community events, and where he's just over COVID bought some property. We're building out a school for the youth, and
Oh wow.
A really big advocate whenever children get hurt or murdered in the city.
Yeah.
He's on the front lines to
oh my God, yeah. Yeah, I respect that completely.
Yeah. So
I love that. So let me ask you this. Let's go back to when you met Proof.
Mm-hmm.
What was and Proof, for people that don't know the impact that, like, when you talk about Detroit hip hop, like,
he was the glue.
Eminem is the guide to the rest of the world, to Detroit.
But there would be no Eminem without Proof.
It was Proof. Like, Proof was literally like a god.
Yeah.
What was he like on a personal level?
He was crazy in a good way and bad way. And you never knew what Proof you were going to get, and when, Dirty Harry came out, you never knew what was going to come out. He would, but he was so giving to everybody and wanted to, hook up everybody. I'd get a show and literally bring a bunch of his friends and up and coming artists that he would sign, and he'd maybe get 10 grand or something, and he'd walk with $500. He'd buy the whole fucking place shots. He'd give the artist some money and be the happiest guy in the world, because he was just he was like the mayor, and but he had his wild side to him, and you just never knew, because he was a backpack rapper, but also he's Puritan Ave for life and everywhere, and lived that it. Unfortunately, like, God, he was such a beautiful person, though, man, such a beautiful person. But you never knew what was going to go on. I mean,
it's heartbreaking, especially what happened.
Yeah, and I mean, he was just such a glue. Like, he's the one that really took Eminem under his wing, and I couldn't even imagine being in Eminem's shoes at that time, when you never met your father, your mother's an alleged drug addict and is not paying any attention to you, and you're getting beat up, and then all of a sudden, and you're in a predominantly black neighborhood, and
he was in the hood.
Yeah. And when he got to move across the 8 Mile, that was good. Like, that was a step up, but it was about a block and a half across the 8 Mile when he was going back and forth. So it wasn't like he
didn't go way across.
No, it was what he could afford, and him and Proof, they worked at Little Caesars together, and they would wrap orders, and he did what he could to take care of his daughter, and Proof really took him under his wing and gave him the confidence to come do these battle raps and come, and connect everybody. Just like there wouldn't be no Mikey and Trick if there wasn't Proof. There wouldn't be a lot of connections that are relationships that there are if it wasn't for Proof. So much stemmed from Proof. He was like a mega hip hop flower, a seed that he sprinkled everywhere in the city.
Facts. So, from your standpoint, career wise, what was your biggest mistake?
I made a lot. I don't know what my biggest mistake was, but I made a lot of little mistakes, and you just gotta, I'm always pretty good about keeping up with relationships and stuff, and as you network and deal with so many different people and so many different, because I've managed rock bands and all kinds of stuff. It's you know, um, just not believe, you just gotta, you know, I don't
Any
know.
doubt ever creep in?
Sure, sometimes there's doubt, but I've been doing this for so long that it's like, you know what? It's always worked out. You got to just say, okay, you know what? You might feel like everything's on your shoulders. You might be going through a divorce, or you might be dealing with the family death. You might be dealing with financial. You might be, but if it's worked out this far, it'll work out
Yeah.
again. And you
Yeah.
just gotta not blow your gasket, Um, and the best thing is keeping up with the relationships, keeping in touch with people and not, I have so many people that just, whenever, there's a concert or,
Oh,
a show that I'm doing or something's coming, you know, it's like, hey, how you doing? Do you think you can get me? Hey, and then I look at like the last 2 years of text, and it's all been whenever
can
there's
I?
been an
Can I?
event.
Can I?
Like, yeah, it's like, how about can't like, you know, can
How am I
I?
doing? Once in a while.
Yeah, how am I doing? Or can I help you push that? Can I post this for you? Can I do that? Because I'll reach out to friends and be like, hey, do you need help? And I'll ask for help. That's one thing is don't feel ask for help. If you don't know, don't act like you know.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for the right help. Like if you're, you know, if one area in this industry is not your specialty, ask for some help.
Absolutely.
And then also let that person know too. And it's not. And what can I do for you? You know what I'm saying? And I always say this is a two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so many people just think, oh, you're the man, you can get it done, but you can get stuff done, but at the same time, people you gotta make money, and you gotta help each other out. Like I'm
Yeah.
always asking, I see if people are posting stuff and it looks like they need some help. Like, hey, do you need some help with that? Or what, and
You
you
know,
know,
how did you like? And Troy is my guy.
mhm.
Like that is like, and that it's funny that you mentioned that because I randomly I call him, bro. What can I do for you?
Yeah,
Because he is the nation's version of Proof
yeah.
in Detroit. How did you meet him?
How did I meet him?
Yeah.
Um, well, it's kind of a funny story because so I do a lot in the African American community,
Mm.
and I got mixed babies too, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. I do, but the funny thing is, and I'm saying that with light because of where I'm going to get with the story.
Okay.
Um, so a while ago we were at the uh, NAACP, the president of the NAACP after party,
Mm-hmm.
and I was probably one of 10 white folks, and it was completely packed and completely, you know, you know, sold out. Fire marshals there and everything, and this woman came up to me that I met because I have a podcast on iHeartRadio with Chuck Bennett, who's like the fashion guru of Detroit, and
Mm-hmm.
Josh Landon, who's a Fox 2 News reporter here.
Actually, listened
And
to a couple episodes today, but
did you?
yeah, loved
Okay.
it by the way.
Talkish, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, we've had a lot of guests, and this woman it was like, "Hey, Mikey, somebody wants to meet you," and he's doing a lot of entertainment and everything in Detroit, and he's like kind of like the leader of the Nation of Islam of Detroit. I'm like, you sure he wasn't? Does he know what I look like? I'm joking. I'm like, are you sure? Does he know what I look like? He's like, yeah. And he knows about you and your relationship with Trick and wants to get Trick involved in some things. So I'm like, all right, cool. And then we connect over the phone and then Instagram. Then we know a ton of the same people. So we sat down a couple times and we're like, okay, well, I can help you out here. I can help you out there. Matter of fact, I've got Wiz Khalifa tonight, and I hired some of his guys with transportation for tonight. So we're able to help each other in
Yeah.
a lot of different ways. And we've got a lot. We've got some things that are in the works that I can't really speak on in detail. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, with his vision, his relationships, and with my relationships and vision, and with getting an artist such as perhaps Trick involved, there's a lot of things we could do with the city and do it the right way.
Yeah.
And he's him and I are a lot alike in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
With networking, with relationships, with going. I mean, I'll speak freely today because of Troy and my connection. I had a conference call with a white female promoter,
Mm-hmm.
Lebanese food truck guy, and a gentleman who owns the oldest sane asylum in America, and, and because of Troy,
I
so
could
we
absolutely see that.
we put we have this vision and the resources to put things together, and him and I actually spoke last night about another thing down the road, with it. So it's a great chemistry.
Yeah.
And I think that I've always, again, being a white kid from Ann Arbor, I've always adapted to some type of culture other than, just I don't know. Just a little outside of the box of my element. I'm in more comfortable situations with it. But like I said, growing up in Ann Arbor, I got along with everybody. I was the kid that I would have, I'd be friends with the jocks, and then I'd have the weird kid with the actual 9-inch nail through his head and dyed beard red, and then the street kid ball players, and they were all the same to me. They were all my friends. It wasn't like I just had that little clique of
Right. I get you.
So I was able to just feel comfortable and making stuff happen. And even back then when kids were like, "Oh, that kid's a freak" or whatever. Do you know him? Have you ever had a conversation with him? Or oh, those jocks, that's all they care about is no, actually, so I loved bringing people together.
Okay.
Loved it. Just seeing like, and I get that. Like there's this place in Los Angeles called the Rainbow Room on Sunset. It's right between the Whiskey and the Roxy, right on the Sunset Strip. And it's this little hole in the wall, but it's big. It's big. It's just a dive bar with really good Italian food. And you go there and Be Real would be there every night. Post Malone would walk in, or Paris Hilton, or, and then just a bunch of grunge rockers and hip hop guys. But it's just like, that's like, I love it because it's like a little bit of everybody. So I would always do that. Every time I go to LA, every time I go to LA, I can't meet with everybody or get with everybody
Yeah.
in 3 or 4 days. So I always pick an off night because, industry Thursday, Friday, Saturday is always something going on. So I'll do like a Monday night or Sunday night or Tuesday night and just send out a text and email to everybody or whoever that I can think of in LA and say, "Hey, we're doing a Mikey Rainbow night, 8:00." And the last time I was there, just before COVID, we had the whole patio, and we had, I think, 57 people there. And I'm talking about from South Central, from some neighborhood Crips, some porn stars, rock stars, DJs, managers, producers, record label reps, everybody. And so many people are like, and I'm like, how the hell did you guys connect? They're like, I don't know, 2007 or something. When you were here, you connected us, and we did that and that. And, they're like, oh, you connected us with this. So I just love, like, connecting people. And I think that, I'm now for the first time on the outside looking in, Troy's the same way.
Absolutely.
Proof was the same way. Trick's the same way. So I think it's kind of in our...
That's crazy because I've done the same shit for years. Only difference is I've never made a nickel.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You gotta work yourself in. You know, you got to work yourself.
I haven't figured that part out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, a lot of times you do it in good faith, but a lot of times, well, you got to cover your own ass. You know, just like I had this meeting today with this new hip hop app, and you know, I signed an NDA, but I'm like, hey, you know, I want to X, Y, and Z. If I do A, B, and C,
Gotcha.
like, let's be clear now, you know, because I know what my value is, but you got to just kind of lay it down. And you know, you got to, you know, so for instance, like the Scarface show, the shows that I book, I kind of, especially in this market, you know, I act as an agent and a promoter and a show producer. You know, I don't just book the show and make the commission on the, you know, on just the commission on booking, and that's it. Like, this is my market. I can add value to it. So this is why you want to book this through me, because I can market it. I can run the show production. I can, you know, and I've been doing it with these artists for so long that, you know, one, you know, they'll call me or Trick and we'll do shows, or, you know, I've been producing shows for Live Nation for years, or, you know, but you know, you just got to let them know your value when you come into a deal. Like, hey, this is why you want me involved, because I can do X, Y, and Z. I can get you, you know, I can push it through our podcast or through our social influencers or through whatever, you know, and so you can justify why you should be a part of that deal.
Got you.
That's my.
I'm getting better at it. I've been working on it, because I've realized that probably more so in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, I've kind of realized that, hey, you know, like, depending on people's kind heart is it's gonna keep your ass cold, lonely, and broke.
Yeah, yeah, and you gotta, you know, everybody's got to eat and feed their families, and you know, you gotta, you just gotta, you know, be humble about it, and let them know your value to it, and don't be a dick about it. Like, okay, damn it, I'm getting this, or I'm not making that intro. You know, you gotta, and a lot of those you gotta just charge to the game. You know, like, because it will come back, but you gotta make some money, but it will come back when they're like, oh shoot, you know. And my main thing is too, is you got to be out there. If you're in this industry, you got to be insight in mind, because you know how many times, like, you know, early on in my career, as I was getting out there, somebody's like, man, I'm glad I saw you the other night. Like, you know, give me a call. Like, I'm glad I saw you, because I got this company that's, you know, doing a Christmas party, and they want some old school rappers, and they want a new school DJ, or they want whatever. But like, if I wasn't there at that event and didn't see them, you know, so like,
you know, put yourself in positions of success.
Yeah. So the other day we had, so I've done a lot of work with Big Sean's camp and helped place some people in his organization and stuff. And then Mary Sheffield, who's the president of the Detroit City Council, is a good friend of mine. I help her out. We're, you know, vice versa.
Told me no for an interview.
What's that?
She told me no for an interview, Miss Sheffield.
Hey, I couldn't get her on my podcast, okay? So don't feel bad. But anyhow, I love Mary. She's doing great things for the city, and so they had the Big Sean. My kids know Big Sean, and you know, they're 11 and 14, and you know, I said that I had to go down, and I had to go down for other reasons that my kids don't know. I had to talk. There was people there that, all right, let's chop it up when you're here about this, and let's talk, you know. So I took my 14-year-old daughter down, you know, and she's like, whatever, you know, like she was helping like do a little bit of security and stuff, and she thought that was cool, but she wasn't like, oh my God, you know. But when she went back to her mom, and there was like a celebrity kickball game, it was a give back to the community, and she went back to her mom, and she's like, Dad didn't go to work, he was just hanging out. And you know, he was like, Dad was just there hanging out and talking to people, he wasn't working. She was like, no honey, that's called networking, your dad has, little meetings that with people that he had pre-planned, and she's like but that's called networking. You got to be insight in mind, and you have to talk to people, and you can't, she's like, when you can go and talk to 5 different people or 10 different people at once versus setting up breakfasts and lunch meetings and dinner meetings, that gets expensive, and you get more done in one day of that.
Exactly.
So it was like, yeah, it's great.
And people more comfortable.
Yeah. Like I say, shit, 80% business gets done more at events and bars and functions like that than it does in a boardroom meeting room.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've learned a lot from Troy over the years. And that's one thing. Like, he'll call me up jobs. Yo, I got such and such. I want you to be there. I think it'll be good for you. And like, I'm not the big, I'm a standoffish type of person by nature.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a scan the room. I'm not, I'm a social butterfly when I know you. When I don't know you, I'm suspicious of every fucking body.
Right.
And trying to overcoming that has been a challenge.
Yeah. Cause see, I'm like the opposite. I'll once I get a little bit comfortable, I'm just me, just like I am right now. And my approach is, my approach is, all right, cool. The first time I meet you, I'm setting the bar this high. You bring it down for me. I'm not gonna condescend you and start it low and build up. No, I'm gonna give you that ultimate respect.
And you lose it.
And you lose it or keep it there.
Keep it. Yeah.
Or,
it's up to you.
So
I feel you.
And you just gotta go. It's like, especially coming up, it's like, man, you got to put in the work. A lot of these people, they just want to shine and floss and all that, and not put in the work or do, and you got to go that extra mile. I'm like, it's like when you're in this industry, it's like trick or treating when you were a kid. You go to those 10 houses that have their lights on in a row, but then 2 houses down without there's 2 in the middle without the light. There's 1 on with the light, 2 houses down. Half the other kids won't go, but you go, and that's when you get the full size Snicker bar or that $20 bill.
Man,
you gotta just push it.
You gotta take your chance. More. Yeah,
take your chance.
I'm absolutely learning that,
and give everybody the benefit of the doubt until it,
So let me ask you this: is there an artist that came to you and said, "I want you to manage me," and you said no, and they turned out to be huge?
Yeah.
Can you tell me or no?
No. No, there's a couple that I'm like, damn.
Why'd you turn them down?
Well, I just didn't have the time. And I mean, I have artists that approach me every day or every week, multiple times a week about me wanting to do them wanting me to manage them or do, but I'm only one person and I, my crew can only do so much. And I want to give 110% to everything that I put my name on. And I don't want to half-ass anything. I don't want to have that on my conscience. I don't want to take on something that I can't, that I can't give the time that I feel is needed. And I don't want to do that to anybody's life or career, I don't want to overcommit and underdeliver.
Okay.
And it's just, there's just so much time and that I can put in. And, developing artists is hard, and then there's artists that, have had big careers and then I've managed them. And, it's just about time and being able to put in what's needed for them, and be real with it. I don't want to say, oh yeah, and then, things don't work out or whatever. I want to give everybody their all, my all. And then, I always say, if I manage an artist, I can't care more about their career than they do. Facts. I can't have somebody that's expecting me to do everything and they're off bullshitting or whatever, like, nah.
Managers and babysitters are two totally different things.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody understands that.
Yeah. And I've had, and then on the flip side, I've had artists that were thinking I'm babysitters. Like, I'm in the middle of a big meeting and I'm talking about a multi platinum artist. Hey, can you, I'm in Detroit in a meeting. Hey, can you Uber me from Guitar Center on La Brea to the gas station in on Hollywood Boulevard, like a $12 Uber? Like, dude, like, I'm not going to walk. Like,
you're an adult.
Like,
you can't manage a Uber.
Yeah. And like, it's just, and then I'll get calls, from the tour manager and, hey, we just left Budapest and the singer left his backpack at the hotel and we're on our way to Italy, middle of the night. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? You're the tour manager. What do you want me to spend $5,000, fly out to Budapest and then another $2,000 to fly to Italy from Detroit? Like, you're the tour manager. How about you call the hotel in Budapest and have them ship it to Italy? Like, I can't, there's only so much I could do. And, babysitting, not part of the job description of my, we can hire a babysitter. We can, just like we hire a publicist.
Okay.
Just
So
like,
when was the last time you fanned out?
Well, I think the last time I really fanned out was I loved Guns N' Roses when I was a kid. Okay, the rock band Guns N' Roses.
Oh, I know who.
And
one of the few rock bands that I fuck with, like Guns N' Roses, are dope.
Yeah, and Axl is just Axl Rose. So Kid Rock, I was at Rock's house one night, and he was like, and he knows I love Axl Rose, and he was like, "Hey, Mikey." Axl called me and said, this is a funny story too. This was probably 2004, maybe 5.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, Axl called me and wanted me to come to one of his last shows in the US for a while in New York. He's got 2 nights at the Hammerstein Ballroom or whatever. I'm like, that's cool. Great. Thanks. Why the fuck you telling me? And he's like, I mean, I got a seat on the jet. I know how much you love Axl Rose. If you want to roll, I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So I'm like, sweet. He's like, all right, stay at my crib Tuesday night, wheels up 7:30 in the morning. Wednesday, boom. So we go, and the funny thing is so here's Kid Rock. He's pretty excited too. And Axl had called while we were walking to the plane and asked him if he wanted to do a song, do Night Train with him. And now here's Rock. Like, we get on the plane. And he's like, holy shit. He's like, dude, I've run DMC with, with Hank Williams Jr., with the Rolling Stones, with fucking Axl Rose. Like, and I'm like, this is sweet.
Yo, that's crazy.
He's geeked, and I'm geeked. And so we get to the show, and like, there's a bunch. I mean, it's Axl Rose, New York. It's and it was when he was Guns N' Roses with like not the original members like it is now.
Okay.
But still, there were a lot of people there. I mean, it was like Jimmy Fallon and, I just remember fucking air guitaring out in front of the stage with Jimmy Fallon on my right and Sebastian Bach from Skid Row on my left. And we're like, welcome to the jungle, like total white boy rocking out. And I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like Jimmy Fallon's put his arm around me and Sebastian Bach were like, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, super cool. And then, so that night we go to the club. Oh yeah, we went to the club and that was crazy. The next day he was like, "Hey, this Axl's like this. You guys want to come to me to this party? This hot actress. It's her birthday party. Her name's Rosario Dawson. You guys want to come?" He's like, "I'm playing at it. I haven't played an acoustic show in like 14 years." We're like, fuck yeah, we want to come. Like, so.
Oh, wow.
So we roll up. We're in a car service, whatever. So as we're pulling up, Tommy Hilfiger and his brother Andy are pulling up. Well, Andy Hilfiger, his brother played bass for Kid Rock for a couple tours. So we walk in. I'm like, this is dope. We're walking in this club in Manhattan with fucking Tommy Hilfiger. Cool. And so then we go, it was whatever umbrella came out because Rihanna came at some point too, because we were in the bathroom and somebody came in and was like, hey guys, Rihanna's here and wants to meet you. And I remember Rock goes, who the hell's Rihanna? I was like, she's got a hit. He's like, she's got a hit? Like, a hit? I'm like, yeah, it's killing it. One of Jay-Z's girls. He was like, I bet, and that was, I think that was at the club. But so Rosario Dawson's birthday party. So we're all, it's just like the nightclubs in Manhattan, it's the booths and all that. So at this point, we're all standing in the booth, and I'm with my friend, this super producer. His name's Emil Haney. He's produced a bunch of Bruno Mars, Eminem, Lana Del Rey. I kind of helped. Me and Proof I got him connected to when we grew up in Ann Arbor together, and I got him put on with Proof and got on Obi Trice's first album, and then he just blew up from there. But we were standing, I remember standing right in front of the booth. We went to the bathroom, we came back, and everybody's kind of standing on the booths. So there's Tommy Hilfiger, there's, Kid Rock, there's Axl Rose, and just a bunch of people. Well, Tommy Hilfiger's date, when she went to the bathroom, when she came up, Axl, I think he grabbed a glass of champagne out of her hand and pulled her up. And Tommy slapped Axl, and then they get into it, and I'm standing there 5 feet in front of them, and I look over at Rock, and Rock's just like, and they're like fighting, and then all of a sudden security comes in, and in the middle of them, and here's Axl Rose with his glass and with his bottle of Cristal and his fist back like this, and then Tommy Hilfiger's behind the other security doing all this karate shit, like. We're like, and then there's like 3 big black security guys that's in the middle of them. So, and we're like, and this was before iPhones and all that shit. But it was like Blackberries. People were trying to take pictures, and Axl had this little girl that was like an assistant. She's trying to jump up and down and not take pictures, and I'm like, oh my god, like, is this? Wow. And then finally, Axl's tour accountant, who was a big guy, came and just picked up Tommy Hilfiger, put him over his shoulders, and threw him out of the club. And I'm like, dude, that's like throwing Mayor Bloomberg on his ass. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then later on, Axl went on and did his set, and he goes, and this song is dedicated to my friend Tommy Hilfiger. You're fucking crazy. Like everybody was just like, wow. And then, sure enough, it made page 6, the next day in the New York Post or whatever. But I'm like, oh my God. And that was like just so surreal. Like, I've met a lot of people and done this for a long time, that it's just the nature of it. But that was like wild. And just because growing up, and it was funny because I remember when Kid Rock and Pamela Anderson were married, we were at their house, and I was like, I think we were telling that story. We tell that story often because it's just so surreal, that whole thing. And I told Pamela, I'm like, yeah, dude. I was like, but I love Axl. I'm like, I was Axl Rose for like 3 years in a row for Halloween. She was like, don't worry. Axl Rose has been Axl Rose for Halloween for the last 20 years in a row for Halloween.
Yo, Sweet Child of Mine is probably definitely top 3 for me. I'm not the biggest rock fan, but of rock songs.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I mean,
the video
was
fucking phenomenal. Oh my, like, love that song. Like,
yeah. And I love that, like back in the day, like Ice-T, loved Guns N' Roses. And like Axl was like, dude, Ice-T wanted to meet me, and I lost my shit. Like, dude, that like I fucking love Ice-T, and like for somebody with street cred like that and like the 80s wanting to meet me, like I was so scared, but he was so cool. And then, it's just cool. Like I said, seeing Kid Rock get so geeked,
Yeah.
seeing these things, like, and then hearing Axl Rose getting geeked about Ice-T, like
Which I
like
would have
him,
never guessed that one.
right, right. And then like, I loved Ice-T. I mean, listen, I grew up listening to hip hop. Like in 6th grade when Original Gangster came out, man, I listened to that from the whole summer. Every time on my paper route, that was my shit. Like, man, I was like, damn. And and then me and Ice became cool. Like his manager just texted me, a couple weeks ago, just like, hey man, just checking in on you, hope all's well. Ice and Coco were just, talking about you, blah blah blah, and so and it's funny because like here that's another one that I could say I kind of fan out on, like, but you know, just like going to dinner with double date with Coco and Ice and my ex-wife, and like Ice is like, yo, it was so funny because the Heidelberg Project in Detroit,
Uh-huh.
the Heidelberg, so Ice was like, yo, Mikey, take me around Detroit. I haven't really like got to know Detroit. Like, I never really had a guy. Now I got a guy in Detroit. I'm like thinking like, damn, like I'm your guy? Like what? Like, okay. And I'm like, all right, bet. I'm gonna show you the Heidelberg Project. I'm gonna take you to Belle Isle, blah, blah, blah. So we pull up the Heidelberg Project. It was funny. I had this little small Cadillac. Ice-T and Coke, and then I had the manager in the front, and we were driving around, and there was a black SUV that had a California license plate, and it was a middle-aged black couple. And it was funny. The guy's like, they were taking pictures. They were outside of the car, and he's like, or the wife was taking pictures, and he was kind of just looking around. And I rolled by. He's like, hey, how you doing? Where are you from? Honey, get the camera. Like, I'm sure he didn't expect, my white boy driving around with a little Cadillac, and there's Ice-T Coco in the back, But that was just fun, Like I work with so many artists, but like the childhood, icons for my life is what really makes me like, I mean, Drake could be across the street having a barbecue, and like, I'd be like, all right, maybe I'll stop by,
I got a chance to interview Chuck D.
Oh yeah, I was just with Flavor Flav the other night.
Worst interview I've ever had.
Oh really?
By far. I mean, first off, I just froze.
Yeah.
Like it was the last. Like his people called me like, you got a half an hour now.
Yeah.
So I couldn't think of any shit besides fight the. I couldn't think of it. It's just one of those moments where I fanned out so bad that it was just and to this day I kick myself.
Yeah,
but I get it. Yeah, like
yeah.
It's just some people like that you grew up with that just resonate with you. That like if ever like Dr. Dre. Oh my God, my daughter is a huge huge Eminem fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like that would be like the gift of all gifts for her.
Right.
So yeah, I get what you're saying. Like it's just like, certain people.
Hey, I know. And it's so crazy how big he is, and like how much time I've spent with him in that camp. It's just like it's Marshall, like
like what's he like now with money?
Oh look, like he's got all the money he could ever want. I mean, all he really wanted was to buy a house and put his daughter through college. Anything else above that is just gravy, He's not, he's not flashy. He's not, but he's got the Marshall Mathers Foundation, which is very quiet, and he does a lot for it. Let's just say, does a lot.
See, I wish people knew more about that.
Yeah, I know. He just doesn't want to. He does a lot and doesn't want any pat on the backs or any awards or anything. Just does it. And then
not
you
even
know the
about a
other
pat on
thing.
the back though. It's about setting a
Oh yeah,
precedent for other artists in the
yeah.
city.
He listen. The way I look at it, Eminem had nothing and was just trying to survive, and then all of a sudden the world turned upside down, and everybody wanted every blah blah blah, and he was just wasn't. He's not a big social person. Where Kid Rock, like Kid Rock, like I got the back door set up when you get here. What's wrong with the front? Here I am. Where Marshall wants to just go enjoy a show or something. And so the two completely opposite. But
Yeah.
you know what I do? I have to say,